Mutton, honey. Hey, I'm Big Lou, and it's Big Lou Barbecue and other things I want to do. And what I want to do today is cook some lamb breast meat. Yeah, the little intro at the beginning wasn't exactly accurate. Might be corny, might even be funny, but wasn't exactly accurate because the meat of adult sheep is called mutton, but the meat of a sheep that's under a year old is called lamb, whether it's alive or living. So I'm cooking lamb breast meat. Found a website, the link will be down below that website, that gave me some information on this cut, said it's the most economical cut of lamb meat. And when it says most economical, that means a lot to me because I'm a public school teacher and I love what I do. And they say, if you like what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. And I got that deal. You know, I pretend to work and my employer pretends to pay me. And so, you know, economical cut of meat appeals to me. All right, because yeah, I'm serious, y'all. They pay me in CDs. No, not certificates of deposit, not compact disc, cattle dung. That's what I get paid in, cattle dung. All right. Anyway, boom. You see that yellow tag? If you see that yellow tag at Walmart, that means the meat is well aged perfectly. You also save a little bit of money too. That's all about meat. Ain't got the yellow tag? I ain't buying it. Yellow tag. All right. So I got these two. They kind of look like a rack of ribs. All right. And so not only did I find out information from that website below, I found out information from Steel Drum Smokers Barbecue. He cooked these, and it was his first time cooking them, and this is my first time cooking them. So if you're here at this video looking for expert advice, this isn't it. But if you're here at this video to find out what not to do, this is probably it. Because when you see somebody cook something for the first time on YouTube, what you're learning there is what not to do. So I watched him, and his family was a little disappointed at the end of the video with how much fat is actually on these things. And the website told me that it responds well to low and slow cooking methods. And you know, that means barbecue to me because I'm from the South. Barbecue is low and slow. Direct grilling is grilling. Okay, so I've got the two lamb breast pieces here. One's bigger than the other. What this reminds me of is rib tip meat, small, you know, like rib tip meat from spare ribs when you cut off the rib tips to make them St. Louis cut. There's a big flap of the abdomen meat right there with no bones in it. There's 2 or 3 bones in this section, and this has a lot of bones in it. And like I said, it was sold as lamb breast meat. So anyway, there is a membrane here. I'm gonna pull it off the same way I would do pork ribs. And if there's any thing strange about that, I'll let you know. We'll be right back, and I will be trimming a lot of that fat off of here. Okay, I have removed the membrane. It wasn't any more difficult than removing the membrane from pork ribs or pork rib tips. This bone fell out of that end right there. Anyway, and I cut the flap meat off, getting the membrane off of that part, but I'm gonna just season that up and taste that at about 2 or 3 hours in, see how that's going. Okay, so anyway, let's start trimming the fat. I'm going to start right here because there's quite a bit of fat there, and I'm using a fillet knife. I don't really have a deboning knife or a fat trimming knife. Other than that, I just use my fish fillet knife to trim fat. Now, I'm gonna try to render this fat down. I did some research, and when you render lamb fat, it's also called tallow. When I trim briskets, I render the fat down and I make tallow out of it. When I trim the pork meat that I use, I'll render the fat down. If I did 5 pork butts the other day, and I rendered the fat down, and I got about 1.5 pints of lard out of that. But lamb and sheep fat is not called lard. It's called lamb tallow or mutton tallow. All right, so anyway, I'll show you what these look like when I'm finished. I'm just going to be cutting out some of this fat stuff here, and I'll tell you if anything surprising happens. Okay, I trimmed a lot of fat off of these 2 pieces of lamb breast meat. Here's the little flat meat that I may have showed you earlier, and that I can render that down into several ounces of lamb tallow. So I'm going to do that. That's just cooking oil. Now, there is this flap of meat on top and this layer of fat that runs under. This piece I opened like a book right along here and trimmed it out. The second one I did, this layer of fat, I trimmed it out long ways like a fish, and I trimmed that layer off like trimming the fat cap off a brisket, and I've trimmed that one off like, you know, cutting the fillet off the fish skin. So I don't know which way is best because this is the first time I've done it. And when you watch a first time video on YouTube, you're learning, you know, what mistakes not to make. So we'll just figure out, but I'm gonna cook. If I'd cut the fat right there, then this wouldn't be attached. And I want it to cook with that over it like this. All right, so I'm gonna drop it in here. Both of them into this, they'll both fit in a gallon-sized bag easily, I'm sure. Well, maybe it's not, because, you know. All right. And I'm going to pour in Reichland's only marinade, excuse me, I hit the tripod there. Reichland's only marinade you'll ever need. Now, this is a lemon juice and olive oil based thing. It's 1 part lemon juice to 2 parts olive oil, a bunch of garlic, and then fresh herbs. I've got fresh rosemary and fresh mint in there. I also put in some dried Provence herbs. If you want to see how I made this marinade, check out my recent paella video. I marinated the chicken in basically the same marinade. Of course, I made a lot more in that, but I'm not going to show you how I make the marinade here. The recipe link will be down below, and you know, I vary it a little bit, but if you want to see how I varied it, just check out the beginning of that paella video. All right, I'm going to seal this up, put it in the refrigerator for a few hours, and let it marinate. We'll be back when we season these. Okay, I'm beginning to render that lamb fat down into lamb tallow. Doing this with one hand. And just like I make lard or beef tallow, I've got a video on that. I'm doing this with the lamb fat. I'll show you what it looks like when it's just about done. Because I'm going to use this, it's going to be a key part of the way I cook these lamb breasts. Okay, this lamb tallow is just about rendered out. Let me switch hands here because I'm right-handed. And I'm going to go ahead and turn it off, let it cool just a little bit. I'm not going to eat these pieces. I'm just going to serve those to my dogs and treat those with it. But I am going to strain the lamb tallow that's now rendered out into a jar, and I'm going to be using a spoonful of that later in this cook. Okay, I'm not that used to cooking lamb. I found a recipe for lamb chops or rack of lamb or something that used Provence herbs in one of the Reichland books. He's got a recipe on how to make Provence herbs, but I got some here. So I'm going to use that, and somewhere in the marinade too. Some of them are still on there. And I found a recipe for some Moroccan lamb chops or something in one of his books, and it used Berber seasoning, which is also an Ethiopian seasoning. I have some of that. He's got a recipe on how to make it, but evidently it's popular throughout North Africa. And I used some of this on chicken recently, and my wife really loved it. So I'm going to use this on the lamb. So that's just, you know, I'm not following that recipe. I'm just inspired by it. Provence herbs and Berber seasoning. That's what we're rubbing this down with. So we just pass this over the lamb. Get it? Pass over lamb. Ah. Just like that. Now, remember I've got these 2 little flaps of meat. Just gonna put them on the inside there. This one here open like a book. How did that go? Like that? Let's get them in there on that. And now we're gonna do the same with the Berber seasoning. All right, I'm gonna do both sides, and I'll meet you out for the grill thrill. Okay, I'm using my old Smokey 22, and I've got a slow and sear in here. It's the old slow and sear, not the new one they sell now, because it has a water trough, and I want this to have moisture in there. I don't have an aluminum tray today, and that's the short reason why I am using the slow and sear in my old Smokey. It's not designed for the old Smokey, it's designed for the Weber, but I'm using it in the old Smokey today simply because it has a water trough. So I'm putting these ribs on just like that, not ribs rather, but lamb breast. It's basically the rib tips if it was a hog. And we'll put these 2 little pieces of meat that came off that little flap right there, and I'm gonna try these after a couple hours, see how it's tasting. This is a lot faster than I thought it was gonna cook. It's only been on for approximately maybe an hour, hour and 10 minutes. So there's something I want to do instead of wrapping it in aluminum foil. And so let me reset this camera on the tripod and show you. Let's take a look at what we're looking at. 156, 157. Now they didn't have as much fat on them as Dash's did because I cut a lot of it off. So that might be why they're cooking fast. Where is this at? 174, 177. So I'll be trying those pieces now. It's only been an hour and I've still got plenty of water down there in the water trough. So maybe I need to lower my vents a little bit. And you can see it's starting to boil right now because I've got it open and the fire's starting to kick up a lot. All right, it's one thing with the slow and sear, you don't want to leave it open too much. This is going right here. That wasn't supposed to fall down there. Dead nabbit. Let me take this off of here now. Come on, come here to me. All right, I'll tell you what I'm gonna do with that pan here in a minute. Right now, look y'all, that's how much tallow, not lamb tallow I got. Let me turn this incessant thing off. Alarm's going off because I got it open. All right, look, that's how much tallow I got from that lamb. I rendered out that fat, got nearly a cup, because this is a 1.5 cup jar, probably a little over a cup of lamb tallow to use. So I got this cast iron skillet heating up. I'm gonna take this lamb tallow. Oops, my spoon's dirty because I got it on the meat. Get that out of there. I'm gonna put this in there and get it going. And we'll be right back. Okay, been just a minute or so. That lamb tallow is rendering in here, or not rendering, melting. It's already rendered. I made it this morning while these marinated. I'm just gonna get this pan coated, and this is what we're gonna do right here. Just take this. That's that little flap that came off like that. I'm gonna go meat side down with these. Just like that. And this one needs to go up. Dead nabbit. It needs to go like this because I'm come on, get off the edge of my grill. That ain't even clean. All right, get right there. There you go. Get right like that, buddy. ThermalWorks thing's going off again. We're just gonna set them right there in that pan. Let me move this great temp thing over. So I got room to put this pan right here. I'll move it like, get set right there. That's about where you need to be. That'll work. Get in there. Get in there. All right, I gotta tell you, my wife and I and my kids tried that little piece. They all said it's wonderful. Turn that incessant thing alarm off. And now what I'm gonna do is run that cord where it can come out like this. Well, we'll just leave it like that. That's good enough. And instead of wrapping it in aluminum foil, I'm just setting in that skillet with a lid on it. All right, I'm gonna let it get up to about 200 degrees and internal, and it's been cooking faster than I thought, and now that it's hotter, well, that's the way it's gonna be. Let me get the lid on here. Okay, I don't know if you see that. It's been hanging out at 260 since the last time I opened the lid, and that was an hour ago. Actually, about 50 minutes ago. It's right now 3:20. I put these on here at 1:30, and I put them in the pan just about 2:30. And they're at 2:04 now. They were at 156 when I did, according to the leave-in thermometer. Let's take a look at them. Like I said, that website said it's a fatty and tough cut of meat, and it needs low and slow. And it's cooked a lot faster than I thought, but I want them tender, so, oh, look at that. Look at the pullback on that. And look at all that au jus down there. Dash at Steel Drum Smokers Barbecue, 198, 200. Yeah, can't go much better than that. 197, 198. And you know, like ribs, it's gonna be hard to tell, I would imagine. 199, and exact temp everywhere. 200, 206. Yeah, so let's bring these in. I'm gonna go ahead and pull this one out, just like that. And let's bring these inside. And I was expecting to have these for dinner tonight. I was expecting a 3 to 4 hour cook. I put them on at 1:30, and it's 3:30 in the afternoon. I didn't have lunch not too long ago, so I'm not even hungry, but these are coming in, so let's go. All right. Here's what they look like. You saw them just before I took them off the grill, and they've been covered ever since. It's about 25, 30 minutes later. I'll let them rest a while because they cooked so much earlier than we expected to eat dinner tonight. And I hadn't even cooked any sides yet. Got some green beans going out there on the grill now. Look at that cutting board. Mary had a little lamb, and when her lamb was sickened, she sent it to the meat packing plant, and now it's labeled chicken. Let's put a little lamb on the chicken. Turn it over. Get over. Come here to me. There we go. See, that one opened up like a filleting a fish. And this one, I did like a book. Well, come here. Come here. I wanted that meat down in the Anjou. That's probably the way I'd cut them. If I did them again, I'd cut them all like that to get the fat out of it, not like this. All right, let's cut them up and do a taste test. Let me get this pan out of the way here. Look at all that good Anjou in it. I'm gonna set it right up here. All right, I'm gonna cut them bone side down like you would ribs. See what we're dealing with. And it is the rib tips. It's got that cartilage that you find in pork right there. That's what it looks like. Tiny little smoke ring. It wasn't on there long to get a smoke ring though. I mean, I won't complain about that at all. Because I mean, I covered them up only after an hour. But they look good. Go ahead and get them all cut. Cut that part off of there. That's that little part that was on top that had the fat underneath it. Guess we eat that too. Let's go right here. There's the sternum. See, it is the rib tips. All right, let me get these cut off camera. Okay, I got them all cut up, and I'm kind of worried about this side right here that looked all like ribs, and that side like there that looked more like rib tips, if they were all part of the same side of the same lamb. Because this one didn't have the sternum with it, and this part had the sternum. You know, it looks like the hog sternum when you do cut up spare ribs in the tips. And so, and here's some of that little meat that I cut off the flap. Anyway, we're gonna try it on camera, let you know what we think about it. Well, you know how women folk are. They're not going to get on camera unless it's the right moment. So anyway, my daughter and Hannah are right off camera because we didn't expect these to be done this early. It was supposed to be dinner time. All right, Hannah, my lovely daughter, how is this lamb meat?
It's really good. It's nice and like, it's not super heavy like a beef. It's good. I don't know.
It's got a strong taste to it, I think. But anyway, yeah, is it moist and tender?
It's very tender.
It's supposed to be a tough cut of meat. Did I get it moist? All right, guys, I'm gonna try that little rib part right there. Treat it like pork ribs because I don't know any better because I'm a Southern barbecue dude. And that melts in your mouth. It's really good. I can't stop. All right, I want to try this little. I had a little piece picked up there, but my kids got it. There's a little piece of that flap that I cut off the top, that I cut the fat out from underneath it. That's good too. Now these cooked in 2 hours, just under 2 hours. And about an hour, so they got to about 156, 160. Then into the skillet. You could wrap them in aluminum foil if you didn't want to use a skillet like that, just to cover them up and let them braise till they got to above 200 degrees, 204 degrees, somewhere in there, so that they kind of fall apart. It's really, really good. Hey, these are really good. And I got a cup and a half of tallow out of it. So I think I might try it again. Just be prepared that it's only a 2-hour cook instead of an all-day cook, which that's kind of convenient actually, but it's 3:30 in the afternoon and too late for lunch and too early for dinner. Hey, just a quick word of caution. If you buy that yellow tag discounted meat at Walmart like I did, make sure you stock up on plenty of hot sauce. Remember, to all the benefits of consuming large quantities of hot sauce, covering up the taste of rancid meat is an important one.